Hey, what's up, YouTube? My name is Chad Esley, and let me get rid of these. A little while back, I did a sculpt in Adobe Medium, which of this little octopus guy right there. Um, and I printed him on my 3D printer using a resin printer. It's the Epax X1 in a gray resin, and here he is. He turned out pretty great. There's the little guy, and I've even got, let me get that in focus. I've even got his little staff. However, when I printed him, his crown I actually ruined. So I think you can see that there. His little crown got kind of mangled. And not only that, when you're working on things in VR, like I put this crown on his head, I didn't really do the math. There's no gravity, so of course I didn't realize the bottom of this just perfectly round shape wasn't going to fit his little egg head. So it just slides off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reprint just the crown and maybe make some different hats for him in VR. And that's the session I'm going to record today. I was actually able to, I thought this would make a really cool little pen holder. And so for my Wacom tablet, for my Cintiq, I now have this little pen holder, and it fits right there. Pretty fancy. This guy needs to be painted maybe eventually someday, and I might sell a couple of these. I'm thinking about if you're interested in one, leave a message in the comments and maybe we'll talk. I might set up an Etsy store. I'm not sure. I'm really this takes a long time to print. This took 17 hours to print, so I could possibly reduce the slicing of the layers and the resolution a little bit and get it to print a little faster maybe. But yeah, turned out pretty well. But how I did this was I loaded this model up into Medium, and I was able to find a generic kind of Wacom pen, which I wasn't even sure would work, and sort of eyeball scale it in VR. So I put the VR pen down into the model, and I sort of warped and bent the tentacle around where I thought it would fit. And man, when this thing printed, my Wacom stylus just perfectly fit in there. So that's pretty great. So yeah, let's dive in. This will be a really quick sculpt, and we'll just have some fun and try and make something silly and print it out and try and show you the results next time. Let's go. I think it's here. This is the Wacom version with the extended. So yeah, he needs a hat of some kind. And I'm going to begin by cloning something high resolution like his eyeball. And I'm going to duplicate that layer, pull it out, and take my clay tool and my erase tool, and I'm going to erase that. And then I'm going to actually reduce the resolution on this new layer. I'm going to be good this time and name my layer maybe. Can I rename? Yeah. Oh, there. Okay. Okay. Name it. Hat. Enter. And I'm going to actually decrease the resolution one step and take my clay tool. And I'm going to add a sphere here. I'm going to get my mirror mode on. Put it right in the middle. And I've got single mode on. I want continuous spray for now. And I'm going to choose a medium gray. Try and get that close. That's still pretty high res. Let me move my scene graph over a little bit. I'm going to increase the resolution to work on this initially a little bit. And then my clay tool, I'm going to use the move tool. And I'm going to move this into place actually first. Move this down. So let's pretend that shape is, I wonder if I can actually duplicate his body. Might be some math involved here. So that layer one, I'm going to hide. I'm going to hide his real body for a moment. bring back the duplicate. There and there. Subtract. All right, third time's a charm. So there I have a nice indent. That should actually fit perfectly with all those bumps and things. Right on his head, it will lock into place actually when it's printed. So that's pretty good. So what I'm going to do now is try to modify this a bit. I'm going to just cut into it with a big square, make it flat. So I'm going to take a cube and make it the negative shape, and then cut it like this in mirror mode. And actually mirror mode isn't going to matter too much for what I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to turn it off. So something like that. That leaves me with a little ring for fitting. And that could even be like the inside of his hat. So what I want to do is, my initial inclination was to, in continuous mode, go around this shape and trim it down a bit. And hopefully this geometry will be kind of merged with the hat and not ever get printed or seen, but some ugly work here, folks. This is, imagine yourself as a clay sculptor. This is what you would have to do. Let's see here. It's not bad. Not too bad. You can really zoom in and get in and refine if you wanted to. Kind of take the edge off, as it were. And when I go to print this, I think I'm going to scale it up just like 0.1%, just to make sure it fits on his head pretty well there. And then now, take my cylinder, stamp, and let's see, increase my resolution a few times. Maybe not quite that much, and then hit clay mode and bring this guy up. You would make it, actually just merge it. If it sits right on top of that shape, that might be pretty good. Because the crown can be like roughly hewn metal. So, yeah, I don't care that it's lumpy, I don't think, maybe. Let me decrease the res a little bit. Try that again. We'll look straight down on it so I can get a better view of things. Put it right down on the crown here. So that's not good, right? Cut too far into it again. Okay, not bad. And now I'm going to take my cube and cut that down. Try and get a good, whoa. I am bonking coffee cups and things in my studio here. Something like that. And then back to the cylinder again. Make it a little smaller. And we'll drop it right on the top. And I'm going to take my cube. I use the cube like all the time to just cut through things. And again, this is a cartoony thing. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I might even stick some little gemstones on his crown there. So let's see how this is looking if I pull back a bit. Yeah, it's a lumpy crown, but it's going to fit his head perfectly. And I'll stick some gemstones in there too. So for the, do I like that? No, I don't. going to cut it down a little further because initially I wanted to be able to see the top of his head through it, like an actual crown. But let me do something like that. So we've got a little ring there, and could take the flatten tool, although I think that's okay the way it is. I was going to flatten around the edge, but just trim that a little bit, right like that. And is that okay? Sorry, folks. I may have to fast forward through some of my banter here, and I'm bumping my microphone. It's the most exciting YouTube channel ever, right? And then add a little bit, just a tiny little lip on there, and then our square tool again. I'm just gonna cut that off. So yeah, you can kind of see the top of his head through it, and then little spikes for the crown. So what shape did I use for that? Sorry, I keep bumping my mic here. I think what I did before was just take something like this. I took this shape. Let's duplicate our hat layer and move it, and then erase. So these will be the same resolution. I'm going to erase what was there. I'll take this spike, and I'm going to change the orientation of my stamp here. And I'm using my right hand and pressing up on there's kind of a D-pad, circle pad thing there. Double click to get to drawing mode and click once. And then I'm going to take my beloved cube brush again and erase at an angle on each side. So I think this is what I did before, really simple. And then something like that. And then I think I cut it here too, like off like that. And then take this little guy and you can make a stamp out of it. And now I've got it on my brush. And I can erase with it or draw with it. Oops, I just drew with it. Erase what was there. And then go in and just like a crown might be, like maybe try to bop this into place. I'm going to use actually single mode. I'm going to increase the resolution one step, actually on the hat layer. I don't need to, I guess. You don't need to go to that layer. Let's see. Yeah, let's use this duplicate layer, and I'll increase the res on it. And we will just drop on 4 of these or so. Okay, there is 1. Is that straight? Doesn't really matter. Let's get it straight. There's 1. Let's see, here's 2. I think the first one ought to be bigger and taller too. I can do a little of that with my stretch tool, with the move tool rather. I'll make this one smaller. Put it on the side. And actually we'll do more than we did before in the other crown, since I've got a stamp this time. All right, yeah, I like that little crown. I like it better than my last one, that's for sure. So I think that's looking pretty good. I could take the move tool and bend the crown a little bit, like do jaunty things here, like this. Just bend it back slightly on inward on all of them. Is that too much? I think they looked better straight. Yeah, undo. They did look better straight. Okay. Do I need gems in that thing? Maybe I do. So I'm going to duplicate it, duplicate the layer, bring this crown up, use my clay tool and the sphere, and reset the tool position and delete. And I'm going to go into just make a blob of clay like that. We'll make it the same gray as this, just for funsies. Like that. And then I'll go use my cube tool and just cut something with facets. Something flat. Oops, that is draw mode. Oh, let's see. Say that's the edge of the diamond or whatever little gem I'm making. And then this is the back side of it. And then I'll just start to give it facets. So here is maybe something like, maybe at an angle, and then at another angle, and then maybe and then the bottom side. Actually, I kind of like the way that's looking right now. I don't know that I can duplicate the bottom now. Can I do that? I'm very careful. That's not bad. Okay, I can do it. It's like very seat of your pants modeling, but I like it because it's so organic and easy to do. So there's a gemstone, kind of, and we can set that down in his helmet, in his crown rather. So just gonna drop it in there. You can zoom right in and get it perfect. This will be so small in the print, but it'll be a cool little detail. And maybe it goes something like that. And then another one. Oh, actually just do stamp. Love the stamp mode. And then tilt it. And just tilt it to where I want it to be. And we will just make it a little smaller. Zoom in. Place it. Place one. Am I in single mode? Single mode. Good. And let's see. Pop it right into position. Right there. Another one. Is it going through? Sometimes I know that there's a way to just pop this right on the surface, but I don't trust it for a model to print. I'd rather know that it's going all the way, touching all the way through, and not just sitting on the surface, so the 3D printer wouldn't get confused. And I got my furnace coming on in the background. These are the hazards of recording at home, folks. But yeah, okay, so there's a little crown. That works pretty well. I'm not like totally thrilled with the rim of it, but maybe I can use the flattener tool. And, you know, when you live in the sea, you don't have access to the best of the best. Sometimes you got to take an old crown that's been sitting in the ocean for a long time. In fact, we can just ding this thing up a little bit and make it purposefully tattered and worn by cutting into it a little bit with a cut tool like this. Maybe it has a big divot out of it right there. Yeah, and then another one here. Little details. Maybe it's you know, just wear and tear, physical wear and tear. That looks pretty good. All right, so I'm gonna try that same, duplicate this same hat. I'm gonna merge. Am I gonna merge this and this? Merge. Watch what happens. Looks pretty good. That's fine, actually. Oh, I need to merge the gems on there too. So let's see. Merge. Sometimes it makes it look weird if they're different resolutions. But it's thinking about it, so that's generally not so great. Let's see. Not too bad. The edges didn't really disappear or anything, so that's really not too bad. So I'm going to hide the hat now. Let's see. And then duplicate the layer. It's a big resolution item, I guess. Decrease the resolution. And I'm going to modify it with my cube brush again, cut it down. And I thought I would make like a baseball cap, or try to. I just drew on it at a huge resolution. Away with you, undo. Wow, okay. Let me decrease the res again. One more time. Now, erase. Leaving that little circle. And then I'm going to actually, you know what? I'm going to try a brand new hat. I'm going to get crazy. All right, it's a day later. I got interrupted yesterday, and we're back. I'm going to try to give this guy a hat, a kind of a baseball cap, and I wanted to keep this shape. This is a copy of the body I have. What I'm going to do is click on this, and in my scene graph, I'm going to first click on the body and then click on the hat. I think actually I do, yeah, body and then click on the hat and then the body. So the hat is selected. And now I'll do subtract. So now I'm going to just hide these really quickly. Hide the eye. And so now we should have a shape that will sit on top of his head. When it's printed, even the little warts that were there should lock this hat into place somewhat. So that's not the greatest shape. The lip of it is kind of messed up, but that's okay. Actually well, I'll fix it actually. So let's see. Let's see here. Let me tilt this a little bit more. So it doesn't get cut off. So I'll make sure there's a little bit of a lip all the way around. Not too big. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And then maybe something like that. And then I'm going to duplicate this layer. And I'm going to try to make a copy of it. I'm going to just scale it up very slightly. And maybe I'll use the gimbal for it. Go scale. This is scale. Scale. There we go. It's just slightly bigger. And you can see the lip of it right there. And then when I make my baseball cap, at least the base will stick to the head. And these will be meshed together when it's printed. So I'm going to go ahead and get out my clay. I'm going to duplicate this layer again. Lift it up just so I have the same resolution. And erase. Make sure I'm in continuous mode. I have a new theme set here for Medium, by the way. And I'm going to grab this shape here, the stamp, and I'm going to stamp it down. Actually, in single mode, stamp it down once. So this will be the brim of the hat. Boy, I've got some shakiness going on. Wow, that is a big resolution thing. So yeah, in fact, I'm going to undo that. I'm going to choose this same gray I was working with and decrease the resolution of the layer I'm working on a little bit. So actions, decrease res, and just stamp that down again. Still pretty big, but now I'm going to erase a little bit, make this thinner. Looks pretty good. And then I'm going to maybe erase, make it a little thinner, or not thinner, but less long. And now maybe the sides a little bit. I'm just using that same shape to erase with. Something like that. And grab this thing and move it over into place. Make it smaller. And then I'm going to warp it to fit. So I'm going to bring the brim of it down here. I don't even have to warp it. I can actually paint out, like erase what I don't need. So going from the top here. Ooh, that's really at a weird angle. Okay. It's just interesting when you view things from a different point of view. See all your mistakes. So I can use the move tool. Make sure it is in active layer only mode. Actually, this theme is really hard to see what I've chosen. I'm going to switch themes, folks. It's in the scene graph. Oh, I lost one of my controllers there for a second. It's in the scene graph. If you go up to the top to world and click on settings, you can go to themes, change theme, and we'll change to, how about neutral? That's pretty good. Okay, and then, so back to the move tool, I'm going to make sure that active layer only is on, and I'm going to just pull this edge back into the shape. Like that. And then on this side, not exactly the same on both sides, is it? That's okay. And then I'm going to go like this, sort of push that shape up in the middle. Kind of bend it the way hats do. And maybe bring the whole thing down a little bit. Then we can address those edges sticking out. That looks pretty okay, actually. And I'm going to squeeze it in slightly on the sides. Curling it downward a little bit. And maybe the edges, bringing those up a little bit. in the middle. Maybe rotate the whole thing down and bring it back a little bit. Maybe not quite as long. Brim of that hat. So that is at a slight angle. I think that looks okay. And now I'm going to hide the body really quickly so I can see what's going on the underneath here. Oh, this shape should have been subtracted. Wait a second. Is that my hat too? Ah, weird. I didn't subtract that. So I'm going to temporarily hide the top and the brim. And we're going to take this, and this is my copy of the body. I'm going to select the body and then select the hat and say actions, subtract. No, it's the other way around. I do this every time. Select the hat, then select the body. The hat is to be removed, so subtract. Totally did not work. Is that the wrong one? It is, okay. Excuse me, folks. All right, select the hat, then select the body. Now subtract. There we go. Okay. And now our other layers of the hat. Turn those back on. And that means actually this one needs to be subtracted as well, except I don't really need to. I'm going to, I think what I'm going to do is just drill this out by hand. So I go to the hat layer, and I will go to my clay tool and take a sphere, and I'm just going to go in. I'm going to hide my staff too. That's kind of annoying me. Oop. And the gem. Okay, so we'll go in with the clay tool, get in under this hat, and try and dig this out a bit. And we'll go to continuous mode. Dig it out all the way. And then the brim, get rid of that. So hopefully when I join this thing together, it will be one continuous shape. Now, as for the front, I think I can actually merge everything now. If I like this, actually, not going to do that just yet. Hold on. Carve out this bit. And on the bottom layer for the contact with the head, I'm also going to carve that out as well. Just be careful not to go too far. I did kind of. And that's not too bad. I can join this and smooth the entire thing out now. There's sort of a little edge there I want to get rid of. Maybe right there too. So there's a semi-organic looking baseball cap so far. So I do think I'm going to join everything now. So the 3 hat layers merge. I say all this like I know that this is going to print and work, but I don't at all. So we'll find out in a future episode. I'm going to go ahead and move this thing around and start smoothing it a little bit. The smooth tool. Now with a high resolution mesh, you can do some cool things like maybe add stitching to the hat to make it more believable, like little actual little indents. Kind of what I'm thinking. Smooth that out like a hat would be made of material. And let's see. That's not half bad. So for the top, there's usually a little button up there. Usually some segments in there. And you could, I don't know how I would do that exactly. There's the flatten tool, which can make little cuts. So you could do like, and then smooth it, but I'm not sure I quite like that. I think I'm just going to add a little button on the top and just use the clay tool. Make this simple. Maybe something more flat. So I'll do, should duplicate the layer. Move this up. Clay tool and erase. Now I'll make a button and flatten it. Let's see. Move tool. Something like that. Then we'll take it, move it down, and shrink it into place. I guess I could do a crease and fancy things in another software. I'm not sure Medium is best suited for the detail and the stitching I was talking about. Maybe. Put this into position. It can get kind of hard to see. That's not too bad. And that is not in the middle of the hat at all. Let me reposition it. That's not bad. All right. For stitching, what I could do is, again, duplicate this layer. Move that up. And let's modify it into a little stitch. Let's turn it into a stitch. And a stitch would be kind of rounded, kind of flat. Yeah, we can just hit it with the smooth tool. Actually, I really need to. Let's see. So what I can do is make a stamp. If I go to my clay tool and go to my menu on my right hand side, pulling down on the thumbstick, I can hit stamp. And now I've got it as a stamp. I can erase what was there and go in really small, maybe. We'll see how this works. It can be a little oversized. And select my hat layer. And this could either be, I guess stitching would be 3D actually. I think I can go surface mode. Stick it on the surface. It actually sticks. But I can never quite get this to work right. So yeah, that's not happening. Plane mode? No. You could do several of these in a line and then bend the line. That might be a way to go. So I'm going to change the orientation of the stamp first. Try and get it kind of vertical. And you do that by holding on the D-pad on my right hand. And unfortunately, there's no way to precisely line this up, so I'm kind of making little moves and eyeballing it until this little bean thing is in my line. And then I'm just going to single stamp that along the line. So I'm going to go, turn on that line mode again and make sure I'm on single mode and, oh, come on, line mode. And then one. That does not work. Never mind, folks. No stitching on this hat. No stitching. I give up. So there's a hat. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? And we are going to unhide everything so we can see our guy again. We've got his old crown there. Hide this. There we go. So that's not bad for a baseball cap. And I should do a little top hat too, I think. So let me hide that pin I was using. And I think using that same technique, I can make a top hat. So I'm going to hide this hat, or duplicate it actually. So I'm going to go duplicate, and we will use our clay tool on the sphere. Get rid of it. And then I'm actually going to decrease the resolution one step and use the clay tool, and I'm going to hide our old hat and this new hat layer. I'm going to again duplicate the body. And so I've got new hat layer with nothing on it, and the body, the duplicate of the body, which I'm going to hide temporarily so I can, yeah, good idea. I'm going to hide it, and then I'm going to select the old body and hide it, as well as the eyeball and the eye. And go back to this body layer and unhide it, and then I can work on the new hat. And then subtract the head from that shape like I did before. So I'm going to start out with primitive with the cylinder. Actually, let's see this thing. That might be better suited. I'm going to hide that little button too. All right. And we'll go like this. This on here. And we'll put it on about like, it need to be a little top hat. How about like that? It needs to be gray. Let's make it gray. There's the brim of our hat. Not too bad. And I'm going to use the move tool and a big sphere and push it up from the bottom to make it a little bit concave. And we'll bring it down a little bit. Tilt it back. And whoosh it down a little bit. Oh, you know, top hats go the other way, don't they? They go like this. The brims kind of go like that. So, yeah. Let's do that. And then flattening it out a little bit. Like so. And then I'm going to, you guessed it, subtract the head or the body from the hat. So I'm going to go to click on the hat, then subtract the body. I'm going to get this backwards again. Unlock, and then subtract. I didn't. Oh my God. Okay. I've learned something, folks. Maybe. And then I'm going to duplicate this layer. Move this up. Use the sphere tool. And we reset the position of it. And then erase. And then we're going to grab a cylinder from the primitives and drop it down on top. This is a new layer, so I'll be able to modify the hat a little bit. So I'm going to go just like that. And then I'm going to drill out the bottom so that we retain our shape for the 3D print. And it's in line mode still. There we go. Turn that off and make that hollow on the inside to accommodate our head. And we'll hollow that out in the model as well. Whoa, and then see I went through it a little bit too far there. Okay. That's pretty good. And then we can hide, I'm going to hide this staff again. Go back to our top hat and do a little manipulation of it. That means I can push it in on the sides a little bit, make the bottom a bit more narrow. Actually, what I can do with the sphere, with the move tool, is just, since I've got it here, I can just do that, keep holding the trigger with my right hand and pull down on the thumbstick, and it will shrink bottom down. So it'll just do a taper, which might look okay. Yeah, and then usually top hats will have like a little ribbon around them on the bottom. So if I wanted to do that, I don't really want to, but I'm going to do it. So go here and we'll duplicate the layer again. And I'm going to use the clay tool, erase what's there, and then using the clay tool again, add a primitive of some kind, like something flat, or even something half round. That works too. If I can use 2 of these, that would be great. So I'm going to do single stamp mode and just try to put this around the base and then stretch it to fit. So here we go. Something like that. And now taking the move tool, and we'll just make a few of these stamps. Just make it barely stick out. I could even stick a feather in his hat or something like that. If you're really ambitious, although that's more to 3D consider about printing. That looks pretty good. I'm not sure I'll be able to, make the edges, the join look good, but we'll see. So I can duplicate that layer and then flip it and then move it around a little bit and see if I can conform it to fit. Maybe a couple of times. Not too bad. All right, and then I'm going to use the move tool. You can zoom right in, try and refine it. Get the edges to meet up as much as possible, and then join them and use the smooth tool. All right. And all right, now a little bit more. I could just stretch this material, but I think I'm going to make one more copy. So duplicate, and I'm just going to move this thing around and then cut off what I don't need. And I'll just use the sphere in a negative mode and trim this extra stuff. Could use the square, I guess. Okay, and then this side maybe, the overhang, and then using the move tool and the sphere, actually move tool. It's not going to be perfect, folks, but it will work in the end, I think. Maybe. It'll look a little funky. So those 3 layers, I think, are ready to go. So that's what it kind of looks like in the join. But the fact that it touches on the inside and all around is what I'm after. So there's a little top hat. I'm going to select those 3 layers, that one, and that one, and then merge, and then smooth them with the smooth tool on the edge, right in there. Kind of do my best to make those seams unnoticeable. And even if they are noticeable, well, heck, who ultimately cares, really, besides me? And now that's pretty okay. A little top hat, maybe. Got a little bit of organicness to it. And I would ultimately like this brim to be a little bit thinner. I wonder if I can manually bring that down a bit by running this sphere. That gives it a bit of a brim. I wonder if this will look terrible or not. It might. And hit it with the smooth tool, leaving that more solid edge. It might still look pretty interesting when it's 3D printed. And then I'll actually move the whole brim just slightly up, just to compensate for any gaps that might be there. And then I think that will be a decent fit. Let me undo, redo. Okay, I'm gonna make sure the that's hollowed here at the contact point for the shape that it sits on top of. So like that maybe, and now it can turn on. Actually, can merge these. All right, so those are merged. It's done now, folks. Turn on my body and take a peek at his hat. Okay, not too bad. So we have a couple of hats for him. It's not the greatest in the world, but I think it will look fine when printed. And with that, folks, thanks for joining me. And next time I will show off some of my prints, the new hats at least. And if you like what you saw or you have questions, leave a message in the comments. Oh, wow. Yeah, leave a message in the comments. Say hello. If you know people who are into this and or just 2D drawing and retro stuff, give a like, get people to subscribe. Say, hey, this crazy guy's got this channel. You should check it out. So stay creative, stay safe, and I'll talk to you next time.